Hey guys, it's Joey. So this is just going to be probably a little bit of a ramble video. I just thought I would talk a little bit about a subject which has come up in a variety of ways, but it's more or less the same idea behind it. And that is the idea of disconnect and the feeling disconnected from other people within regards to the pagan path. People feeling disconnected from their spirituality and go in search of other spiritual paths, and other people getting quite annoyed by it or aggressive by it, or you see people falling out with people so they choose a different spiritual line, or people doubting their spirituality maybe because of the arguments that go on and saying that, you know, pagans are more argumentative, more aggressive. And it's kind of sad. And today is the day before the full moon, a really powerful full moon. It's tomorrow night. And I've just been cleansing out my space. Both altars are done now. This is my working area down here. And it was just helping me to get back in touch with what paganism really is for me. And that's why these things are in shot. I might show you some of the crystals which are over on the mini working altar now. They're going to be there, so they're in the light, because I don't want to put them in water and risk damaging them. So, if I just wiggle in a bit, we have some water which is going to be moon water. This is spring water with a dash of water from the sea. This is my water from the sea, and that's as much as I can get because I can't go to the seaside very often, so I only use a little tiny bit in each one. So this is going to be my moon water once it's imbued under the water. Some sand and bits from the shells that came from the seaside last time I went, and then bits and pieces. So drying some honeysuckle out that was on my path this morning, some beautiful rocks that I use in a lot of my working and that Dawn sent me, some seashells from the seaside last time I went, some apple seeds which are drying out, pine cone, one of my yew votives, my swan feather that I use for a lot of cleansing work, driftwood branch, yew branch from Charlie, 2 little yew leaves from Charlie, and some of my dark goddess blessing salt is on here too. Is that everything? Yeah, I think so. And these are just sort of, and the reason I'm bringing them into a video talking about disconnect from paganism and reconnecting to the sense of spirituality is because there seems to be a lot of focus on other people right now. And it's something that I fully understand because I've been going through it in a lot of ways myself, feeling very separate, not feeling connected to an awful lot of people. I have always been a bit like that though I prefer having a few close friendships to a lot of sort of, I don't know, acquaintances. And I've said time and time again that I can't stand the whole fakeness and I take my time to get to know people. So if people don't sort of take the time to get to know me, then I don't chase after people. I'm not going to pretend to be someone's best friend without knowing them, sort of thing. I don't agree with it. It makes me feel uncomfortable, and I want to build real friendships, lasting friendships, not fair weather ones, you know? And this has come in a lot recently with sort of people feeling alienated from paganism within the pagan community on YouTube. And I've talked to a couple of friends about bits and pieces, and I talked to my sister at length about things. And I'm very fortunate that my sister is pagan. And if we feel the need to sit down and have a natter on about paganism like we did today, then we'll talk about it. And I always love talking to my sister about it because she has a lot of dealings with the Nordic path as well as Hecate, and she has a very different perspective to me completely different within her pagan path. And because I love my sister more than anybody else on the face of the planet, sorry everybody else, but you know, she's my soul sister as well as my sister, and we've always been there for one another. Because I love her without bounds, we can discuss things in complete opposition sometimes, and we don't fight about it. And that for me is a good basis of having somebody to discuss paganism with. A lot of people who come to me about paganism are people who are new, people who are investigating the Celtic stuff, investigating the Morrigan stuff, so a lot of the time for me it's telling people bits and pieces of what I know, and whether, you know, people ask me questions and I give answers and things. So that's not really discourse as much as it is with my sister, because I'll sit here and listen to her talk about Thor and the god Thor. Not Marvel Thor, although she could probably talk about him too. And I have no idea, because the Nordic path is not something I have investigated. I mean, I've read the myths, so I guess I've investigated it more than some people, but it's not something I have committed to in the same way I've committed to my path. And my sister doesn't know pretty much anything about the Celtic path other than what we discuss. That's completely separate from YouTube, and I'm very fortunate to have that. And I understand that there are going to be people out there that come onto YouTube because they want to connect with people who are of a like mind. And I was thinking about this, thinking, you know, I was watching a couple of the VRs to Feather Garden Bell's video, and they were saying, you know, that because paganism is such a broad subject, you're very unlikely to come across someone of an exact like mind, because you can ask 20 pagans the same question and get 20 different answers about how people feel about things. And the problem with not having doctrine, not having rules and regulations as such across the board anyway, I agree with this point, and I've forgotten the name. Oh, pants, forgive me, I've forgotten your name. A young lady who did a VR, I will look it up and put it down in the down bar. Right, was talking about the fact that, you know, there's no one moral code over the whole lot, so, excuse me, people have different interpretations, different levels of what they believe is morally and ethically acceptable, different perspectives on different things, and paganism is a vast subject anyway, so, you know. And it's kind of an individual path. So when individual paths collide, people tend to argue. There is discussion and debate, and healthy discussion and debate that does go on, but then some people just... I think what it is paganism for a lot of people is a really strong thing because it's such a release. You often find a lot of pagans who finally came to paganism and they felt like they came home, and they are, you know, dearly in love with every aspect of their own path, and they find the rituals rewarding, they find the spell work magical, they find the altar setups an aesthetic of their spiritual connection, they find joy in nature and nature's bounty. The list goes on, and they become dearly attached to their way of celebrating paganism in the form which they celebrate it. And then maybe if they come up against somebody who has completely divergent belief system and is equally proud of it, then arguments can happen. So, you know, because people are naturally defensive of things they really, really love, and they don't want to be told they're wrong. It may be that they've been in spiritual paths before with being told what to do, being told what was right and wrong, or it might just be from a sense of pride on their own path, like I was saying. And nowhere is this more true than somewhere where it's easy just to voice things. And one of my dear friends was talking about this the other day, about how easy it is to record videos and not really think about what you are saying, not have a plan, not have an idea of where you want to go, and words fly out without thinking about them. Unlike, say, the written word. I was talking to my dear friend about that the other day, and I think she's right, because you get these blast videos basically, and sometimes the whole point of them is literally to tear down somebody else. And generally speaking, I don't think we have seen as many of them in recent times that I'm aware of. Either I'm not aware of them or I'm just not watching them anymore. Both are very possible. There's one or two people that I've basically unsubscribed from because every video is martyrdom and aggression and my way or the highway and people don't know anything and that's one point I do want to raise that I don't like about these kinds of videos. When people feel very alienated, it sometimes devolves a little bit into not so much finger pointing, but this general aggressive sense against paganism as a whole, and people make crap videos and people make videos not worth watching, and you're teaching people the wrong thing and this, that and the other. Whereas I understand the strong urge to put out your own point of view, and especially when you've been doing something a long time and you have very set values, it doesn't necessarily make another person's way of doing something wrong. If you strongly disagree with that person, I don't personally see anything wrong in maybe discussing it with them. If they take strong offence, then it's not somebody you can have a debate or discussion with, and you just walk away from that kind of thing. And if you know you can't have a strong discussion or debate, then again, you walk away. And I do agree, though, that, we are getting to the point where people are getting afraid to express an opinion. And they feel like they're going to come under fire. I think there are two things at work here. One is the forgetting of etiquette within discussing your opinion. Your opinion is valid. So if your opinion is valid, the other person's opinion is valid, because they are literally both the same thing. They are an opinion. And I think people forget that. You're wrong, I'm right comes through in a lot of videos, and they're very aggressive sometimes. And they put noses out of joint because you're basically telling somebody that they're wrong. And spirituality is a subject where you can't really shout from the rooftops that somebody is wrong unless they're harming somebody in some way. It's a very difficult thing to tell people that they are wrong with their spiritual path. You can recently I shared opinions where I'm like, I don't feel that this should be presented, that my goddess should be presented as this, because that goes so strongly against my belief system and everything I've ever encountered and ever learned, and the information just seemed misplaced, misguided. It could be leading people to a really unfortunate place energy-wise, because if they were expecting, for example, my goddess, the Morrigan, to show up as being cuddles, then I think, you're misleading people. I really do. And I have every right to voice that opinion. So that's the first thing. Etiquette within expressing an opinion. You don't have to be down somebody's throat and express an opinion. You don't have to use insulting language. You don't have to act like, oh, I'm the authority and I know everything and you're wrong, and because it's spirituality and we're not in the realm of fact, like say if you're in mathematics or something And even with that, the understanding of the human mind is always evolving and changing. So I like discussion and debate, and it's one of the reasons I got into paganism. It's one of the reasons I got into YouTube, and I really wanted to share my spirituality, because although I have my sister and I love her dearly and we can ring each other up and discuss things, she has a son and she lives a good deal of a distance away, and therefore, you know, just sharing thoughts or rituals or the latest crafting or whatever, it would be more difficult that way, because, you know, life and all the rest of it. And I felt that, you know, getting onto YouTube would help me reach out, and in some measures it has. There are a few people whom I adore. There are some people whose I don't really know and I adore them and like their videos and things that I look forward to every week. You know, I hearing the Virgo horoscope every week. I enjoy the Four Queens' videos all the time, and there are just some people whose videos are interesting. I don't think it's fair to say, you know, that people's videos on YouTube aren't interesting anymore. I like to hope and pray mine are interesting. They're interesting to me. And I feel that my path is growing and adapting and changing, and I mean, this weekend in itself, I had some huge revelationary cycle through of the self, of sort of talking and discussing with the Morrigan and some messages, and it was so strong. And I had people I could share that with on a personal level. You know, I can put that into my Ogham vlog, which is how I have been experiencing spirituality of late, through the Ogham each week. Excuse me. And for me, it just carries on. And I mean, if someone said to me, you know, your videos are all crap, you don't know what you're talking about, and I don't think you have any spiritual substance, of course that would hurt my feelings. Of course, it's probably going to give license to, I'm probably going to get an email of that variety from somewhere now, but of course that's going to hurt people's feelings if you say things like that to them. If you really don't agree with them, if you really dislike them, then, I mean, it's YouTube, it's videos. I mean, it's easy for me to say, you know, you don't have to watch a person or a particular video. Or if you do need to watch it, then you don't need to agree with it, you don't need to ingest it, you don't need to let it ruin your whole day. I mean, I've had it, you know, I've had that in the past where things have ruined the day for me, or even an hour now, but you find a way of overcoming that, of realising that it's not about other people, it's about you and your spirituality, and reconnecting to your sense of self. For me, YouTube videos are part and parcel of my path. I like sharing, I like discussing, I like vocalising, and almost making like video diaries of my path as I go on, so I can see how I've evolved and changed. For me, I'm never going to question that I'm a pagan, and I'm never going to doubt my path. I hope. I can't say 100%, but I never have up to this point, so I find it unlikely that I'm going to. And the thing is we give people way too much power over our spirituality if they're making us doubt everything. Now, some people have left paganism, excuse me, sniffles, I've got the window open, and they've gone chasing their their particular path. And there's been a really nasty reaction in some cases, and it's like, well, if they're searching out their spiritual truth from paganism or not, or however, then wish them well, encourage them, have discourse with them, talk about it, see where they're at, see what they're learning. It doesn't mean that you can't learn things, it doesn't mean there aren't spiritual truths across paths that can be shared. I talked about that in the Celtic Commandment video. And I understand the feeling of alienation, I really do. I feel at odds with the world half of the week, probably. I have a sense of honesty and a code of ethics which sometimes puts me at odds with the world in general. And I understand how that feels, I really do. But your spiritual path is about you and your relationship to the divine and your relationship to the world around you. It doesn't have to be defined by other people. And I think we'll leave it there. Many blessings.